I never imagined that a simple cleanup job would spark a life-changing friendship. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The moment when all my plans, my certainties, crumbled like the fragile dust I was sweeping away. It was just a Saturday. Just me, a pair of gloves, and a pile of clutter that seemed to stretch endlessly in my grandmother's attic. I thought it would be a mundane mess, an afternoon of cleaning up the past. I never knew it would open the door to something miraculous or terrifying. The air was thick with the smell of mildew and old memories. I pushed through the scuffed door, feeling the ancient wood creak under my weight. Dust particles danced in the beams of sunlight that broke through the cracked window. I felt a chill run down my spine. This place was a labyrinth of shadows and whispers. It felt alive, as if hiding secrets I wasn't ready to uncover. I stepped deeper into the clutter, my heart racing, hands trembling as I reached for a stack of yellowed photo albums. A noise. A crash from the darkness at the back of the attic. My breath hitched. Goosebumps prickled my skin. Was I alone? I had always heard the story-soft spirits lingering, clinging to memories. I banished the thought. I had come here to clean, not succumb to childish fears. But why was my chest so tight? Then I saw it. A flash of color beneath a pile of old blankets. I tugged them away, heart pounding, revealing a small, intricately carved box. The wood felt warm under my fingers, glowing faintly as if alive. Every nerve ending in my body tingled with anticipation, mixing with dread. I held it up to the light, my pulse quickening. What was inside? A key? A diary? Or something more sinister? I opened it slowly. I could feel the air shift around me, a chill brushing against my neck. Inside, there lay a shimmering pendant. It caught the light in a way that made me gasp. Was it a simple piece of jewelry, or was it something far more significant? Something pulling me toward it, toward the past hidden away in this dusty space. Suddenly, a voice sliced through the silencia, distant echo. "What are you doing here?" I whirled around, adrenaline surging. It was a girl, standing at the edge of the room. Her eyes wide, filled with something I couldn't place. Fear? Anger? A mix? She looked out of place, as if she'd just stepped through a portal from another time. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. Who was she? Why was she here? Right then, my mind raced full of possibilities. What if she was the owner of the box? Or worse, what if she was a ghost? A million questions swirled like the dust motes in the air. I could sense this was just the beginning, the moment that would change everything. Would I dare to find out where this would lead? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The girl stepped forward, her eyes narrowing as she assessed me. "What are you doing in my space?" she demanded, her voice surprisingly steady despite the tremor I saw lurking beneath her bravado. She was probably no older than 16, with tousled dark hair and an intensity that made my skin crawl with a strange mix of fear and curiosity. My heart raced. I hadn't expected anyone else to be here, let alone someone so fiercely protective of this attic that I was just cleaning, I stammered, clutching the pendant tightly in my hand as if it could shield me from her scrutiny. "I'm here to sort through my grandmother's things." "Your grandmother?" The girl blinked, her expression transforming for a fleeting moment from anger to confusion. "What is she to you, then?" "She." I hesitated, grappling with how much I should share. "She passed away a few weeks ago. I thought I'd come and clean out the attic." "There's so much stuff?" she echoed, looking incredulous. "You think it's just stuff?" I felt the weight of her words heavy in the air. The attic was more than mere clutter. It was a burial ground of memories and emotions. "No, it's not just stuff, I know that. Then you don't understand yet," she interrupted, the fire returning to her voice. "Every item has a story. Every dust particle has breath. This attic, it's alive with their voices. You can't just dig through it like a junkyard." "Who are you?" I asked, my curiosity finally overpowering my apprehension. "I'm Lily." Her name tumbled from her lips like a whisper meant to conjure the past. And this is my sanctuary. Your sanctuary? I repeated, glancing around as if the fading wood and cobwebs could somehow explain her claim. Yes, I used to come here to escape. She took a step closer, her gaze locked onto mine, searching for some understanding. And when I found out your grandmother had passed, it felt like someone had stolen the only home I had left. I swallowed hard, the gravity of her words both unsettling and poignant. It seemed we were both searching for connection, but in such different ways. The air between us crackled, a tension that threatened to unravel everything I was trying to comprehend in that moment. I didn't know. I'm sorry. Lily's expression softened, yet there was still a flicker of something painful behind her eyes. You need to leave, then. This is not yours anymore. My heart plummeted at her words. I didn't want to leave, not yet. Not when I felt an inexplicable connection to her, to this room vibrating with the love and loss that filled its corners. Please, I found myself pleading. I'm not here to take anything from you. I came to sort through my grandmother's life, but now I feel like there's something important here I can't just walk away from. Her uncertainty flickered again, and as she weighed my words, I saw a shift. What did you find? I hesitated, but then opened my palm to reveal the pendant. Its soft glow seemed to pulse against the dimness of the attic. Lily's breath caught, and her eyes widened as she reached out tentatively to grasp it. This is remarkable, she breathed, her fierce demeanor giving way to awe. It belonged to her, didn't it? I think so. I can't be sure. The words were heavy, layered with the weight of loss and the daunting unknown that stretched before us like an endless road. Without breaking eye contact, she studied the pendant for a moment before a thought crossed her mind. There might be more to it. Stories that haven't been told. If you want, I could help. Just as hope began to unfurl in my chest, a sudden noise echoed from below, the unmistakable sound of footsteps in the hallway, heavy and unwelcoming. Panic surged through me. Who's that? Lily frowned, her earlier bravado faltering as she glanced toward the attic door. I don't know, but if they see you up here, I didn't wait for her to finish. Grabbing the pendant, I tucked it into my pocket, and before I knew it, I was rushing toward the staircase. We need to get out, I whispered urgently. Not yet, she insisted, urgency creeping back into her voice. Someone is coming, but it's not who you think. With that, I froze, my heart pounding as I contemplated the choice before me. Would I stay and face whatever unexpected danger lurked in the shadows? Or would I flee, leaving behind a new friend in a moment of uncertainty that felt like it could swallow us whole? Deep down, I knew that wherever this journey led, retracting from this attic would mean stepping away from both the past and future I was desperately trying to understand. But the footsteps were growing louder, closing in. Trust me, Lily urged, grabbing my wrist, anchoring me to the present as she whispered words filled with haunting promise. Things are never what they seem. In a split second, a decision had to be made as I heard the door creak open below us. Would I surrender to an uncertain fate with her, or would I choose the safety of retreat? The choices weighed like anchors in my chest, propelling me toward a decision that could change everything. And in that fleeting moment, just as clarity beckoned, a shadow fell over the attic, choking out the sunlight and plunging us into darkness. In the heavy silence that followed the darkness enveloping us, I could feel the weight of uncertainty settling over the attic. Lily's grip on my wrist tightened, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and determination. I could sense the subtle tremor in her hand, a reminder that we were both teetering on the edge of something monumental. Stay close to me, she whispered, her voice steadier than I felt. Somehow, she radiated a calm that was contagious, nudging me to lean into it. Instinctively, I took a step toward her, my heart pounding like a drum, urging me to move. The footsteps from below became more pronounced, heavy boots echoing against the wooden floorboards as they approached. A knot of dread twisted in my stomach. Nothing about this moment felt safe or familiar. I had come seeking closure and a connection to my grandmother, but now I was standing in a shadowy realm filled with hidden stories and unsettling mysteries, tethered to a girl I barely knew. Why is there someone here? I whispered, my voice barely a breath against the creeping darkness. I don't know, Lily replied, her forehead knitting slightly as she listened intently. But it feels like trouble. The footsteps grew louder, a steady march that sent a chill racing down my spine. I could almost hear the creak of the old wooden staircase bending under the weight of whoever was making their way up to us. Each step resonated with a stark finality that themed the moment with impending confrontation. Lily seemed to sense my growing anxiety. "We'll find a way out," she assured, nodding toward a small window at the far side of the attic. "If we can just make it to the roof," I opened my mouth, about to voice my concern that the window was too small to fit through, but she anticipated me, dragging me toward it. "Trust me, this is our chance. If we get outside, we can figure it out." Her conviction ignited a flicker of hope within me just as a shadow finally broke into the threshold, crashing into the dim light that now felt too fragile to withstand. My heart dropped, the fear coiling tightly around my chest as I turned back toward Lily. "We can't let them catch us," I said, my voice strained with urgency. "On three," she said, as if breaking free of this moment required a coordinated effort, a collective leap into the unknown. She counted softly, her hand still holding onto mine. 1, 2, 3. In that instant, we lunged toward the window, our minds racing with thoughts of freedom. I had never believed that a simple task would boil down to the Izumi grandmother's attic becoming a battleground for secrets, friendship, and fear. But as we reached the window, I found myself frozen once more. The rain drumming pitter-patter against the roof was intoxicating, yet the drop below seemed terrifyingly far. "Lily, wait, it's now or never." She pressed against me, her brave eyes daring me to follow her lead. And just as we poised to leap, a figure charged into the attic behind us. A voice, sharp and commanding, cut through the atmosphere. "What do you think you're doing?" I turned, fear washing over me like a wave. The figure was tall and looming, with dark eyes that glinted with an unsettling intensity. My pulse raced as I struggled to regain my composure. "Move," Lily urged, and without thinking, I climbed out onto the roof, my heart thundering as I felt the solid ground beneath my feet. "Get back here," the voice roared, sending an electric jolt of terror through me. As Lily flung herself after me, scrambling for safety, I had the urge to look back. But something about the way the figure moved the shadows that seemed to swirl around him held me captive. Was this person the danger we feared, or were they connected to the stories we had yet to uncover? "Come on." Lily's shout broke the spell. I took a leap of faith, seizing the opportunity. We dashed across the roof, rain pouring down, soaking our clothes, washing away any remnants of the fear that had anchored us moments before. In this wild dash, I felt something shift, an adrenaline rush binding me to this girl who, in just moments, had become my ally in the face of the unexpected. As we neared the edge, something caught my attention. Glancing back just for a second, I saw the figure standing in the attic doorway, a smirk creeping across his face. "You'll never be free of the past," he called, his voice chilling and echoing beneath the rain. Lily and I reached the slanted edge, but I could feel his gaze boring into me, a chill settling deep in my bones as uncertainty gnawed at the edges of my mind. With a sudden surge of panic, I realized that leaping into the unknown was only the beginning. As we prepared to jump to the next roof, the pendant in my pocket began to pulse gently against my chest, almost as if it were alive, calling me back. And just before I took the leap, a final revelation echoed in my thoughts. Was this a simple cleanup job, or had I unleashed something far beyond my understanding? With one last glance at the shadows in the attic as they danced in the waning light, I wondered if I would ever truly be free of my grandmother's past, or if Lily and I were destined to uncover scars far deeper than we ever imagined. I stumbled off the edge, the rush of the wind colliding with me as I hit the next roof with a heavy thud, throwing my balance momentarily. The sharp edge of reality crashed into me, but there was no time to dwell on it. Lily landed beside me, breathless but determined, her focus unshakable as we frantically surveyed our surroundings. The rain poured down relentlessly, a curtain of chaos shielding us for the moment. I exchanged a quick glance with her, a silent affirmation that we needed to keep moving. My heart still raced, not just from the leap of faith, but also from the dread of what lay behind us. In the attic, shrouded in its gloom and secrets, Lily took the lead, her small form darting across the uneven tiles like a shadow. "This way," she shouted, gesturing toward a sloping access point that led to the next building. a quaint old structure that seemed almost untouched by time, its bricks worn but resolute. It was my grandmother's past loomed between us, a past that surely had its share of shadows tucked in the nooks and crannies that we reached the edge just as a flash of lightning illuminated the night sky, revealing our next challenge, a gap between the two rooftops that yawned like an abyss. My stomach twisted as I weighed our options. "Do you think we can make it?" I asked, barely hearing the uncertainty in my own voice over the storm's cacophony. Lily paused, looking at me with an intensity that both terrified and inspired me. "We have to try," she insisted. "There's no going back." She stepped toward the empty space, her feet steady. And then, she did something I didn't expect. She looked around, taking in the shadows that loomed over us, and whispered a soft prayer, a meaningful gesture that eased my racing heart. In that moment of connection, the energy shifted. It was like the air had thickened with purpose, imbued with a spirit that transcended the fear clinging to us. The storm overhead seemed to quiet for just a heartbeat as we both stood at the brink. "Let's do this together," I said, stepping up to her side. With one synchronized movement, we jumped. The feeling of weightlessness filled me, the adrenaline pumping in my veins as we soared through the air before landing on the other side with a thud that reverberated through the damp wooden floor. Panting, we fell against each other for support, both exhilarated and trembling. I could feel the warmth of her arm pressed against mine, a reminder that I was not in this alone. But as I regained my footing and scanned our surroundings, my joy turned to dismay. Flickering light from below seeped through a window, casting a glow that hinted at life inside. I felt drawn to it, an inexplicable pull toward the warmth and safety that lay behind that glass. "Do you see that?" I whispered, pointing. Lily squinted through the rain. "It looks like someone's home. We should be careful," she voiced, each word measured with caution. But there was curiosity in her eyes and understanding that the unknown could carry answers as well as danger. That we approached the window, trying to keep our silhouettes hidden. Peering inside, my breath caught in my throat. The room was filled with cluttered old photographs, stacks of yellowing papers, and an odd assortment of trinkets. A small figure moved about in the dim light, a frail old woman, her silhouette veiled in shadows. My heart raced as I recognized her. She looked like a younger version of my grandmother. The very thought that someone might carry the memories of the past lingering in that room sent waves of emotion through me. "I think I know her," I said quietly, my voice trembling. "What do you mean?" Lily asked, her curiosity piqued as she joined me at the window. "It's my grandmother. I don't know how, but I can feel it," I replied, my heart echoing the truth I was uncovering. She might have answers, but as I spoke, the figure paused, turning slightly. I felt a strange surge of connection, as if the moment hung delicately in the air, something unsaid resonating between us. Suddenly, without warning, the door leading into the room creaked open, and another figure stepped. A man, tall and imposing, with the same prying intensity that had haunted us in the attic. His eyes, dark and narrowed, scanned the clutter before settling on the woman. "Catherine, what are you doing? We have to leave," he barked, the urgency vibrating off his words like a slap against my skin. "Catherine?" I gasped, the name pinging in my mind like a bell tolling through the fog of confusion. "What if they know about your grandmother?" Lily shrieked in a whisper, the tension in her timbre mirroring the mounting dread I felt rising within me. Just then, the woman turned to meet the man's gaze, and I could have sworn she looked out the window at us, her eyes locking onto mine, filled with a knowing that sent chills down my spine. "Run," she mouthed with urgency, her voice a mere breath carried away by the storm. In that instant, everything spiraled. Our connection was palpable, and yet a deeper threat was looming in the shadows between us. I felt torn between the pull of the past and the present. My heart split open, revealing the jagged seams of my family's secrets. "Let's go," Lily urged again, grasping my wrist tightly, but I stood frozen, the weight of the past crashing down around me like thunder echoing in the dark. What had we stumbled into? And more importantly, what did it mean for everything I had ever known? As I hesitated there, my heart in the crosshairs, I realized we hadn't just leaped into the unknown. We were now entwined in a labyrinth of secrets that might change everything, not just for us, but for the generations before. The moment hung thick in the air, amplified by the deluge outside. The room's chaotic clutter felt like a mirror to my own tangled emotions, each piece an echo of something lost, something I yearned to find again. Yet the threat standing before us, the man with the demanding gaze, turned my curiosity into panic, pulsating like a warning bell in my chest. Run! The whispered command lingered in my mind, rooting me in place even as Lily tugged at my arm. I felt torn, a tightrope stretched over a chasm where knowledge and danger loomed on either side. Catherine, I murmured again, the name echoing with a haunting familiarity that hinted at unanswered questions buried deep within my veins. Was this woman truly my grandmother? Was this the key to unraveling the years of silence that surrounded her life? But the man's urgency spilling out of him like a broken dam made me realize the weight of this moment. He came closer, and I could see the lines of worry etched across his brow, his muscles taut with a resolve that felt predatory. Despite the dimness, his presence felt suffocating, a shadow cloaked in the light of my grandmother's frail figure. Please, I urged, scrambling inside my racing thoughts. We have to go back and find out what's happening. If she's in danger, my voice trailed off, lost against the storm. Lily turned to me, her blue eyes wide with fear, but filled with a flicker of determination. And what if she isn't? What if it's a trap? Her question pierced through my fear, grounding me back to reality. Suddenly, the sound of scuffling broke the silence, and I turned back to the scene unfolding inside the room. Catherine stood now, her demeanor fierce despite her age. No, Henry, I'm not going anywhere. I was waiting for her. She needs to know. Her voice crackled, filling the space with an unexpected strength. Is that me? Am I the her she's talking about? I whispered, wondering aloud as dread and hope twisted together in a knotted embrace within me. The world around us faded into nothingness, leaving just the two of them and my urgent desire to bridge the gap between us. Let's back away, Lily pleaded quietly, her grip tightening on my wrist. We can't get involved. The storm will pass. We can figure this out later. But the words felt hollow, like echoes of a decision long overdue. I could see the conflict in Catherine's eyes shifting towards something akin to hope, a thread tethered to a past I had been both running from and longing to understand. It ignited a fire behind my ribcage. I pulled free from her grasp, stepping into the gloom with purpose. The storm outside roared, but my thirst for clarity was louder. I can't leave her. Just then, Henry's voice cut through my determination. Catherine, move now, before it's too late. Her eyes darted back to me, panic threading through her gaze. You don't understand. They're coming for you. They're watching. My heart sank into my stomach. Who was they? And why was I at the center of it all? It all felt like a storm split across time, and I stood helpless within its eye. I have to know what happened. I implored, feeling the weight of generations urging me forward. Memories intermingled at the periphery of my mind like shadows ready to be unveiled. Henry stepped closer, blocking the doorway as though it were a shield, but I brushed around him lightly, the adrenaline coursing through me now louder than before. Catherine, I called, desperate for her attention. What's going on? Please get out. Henry barked, his voice rising like an angry tide. But the storm felt oddly calm here, as if the fabric of time had molded around this pivotal moment. Catherine lifted her frail hand. It's not what you think. He wants to protect you, but her voice faltered, uncertainty casting a shadow over her words. There's a darkness in our past that you must confront. Darkness? I pressed, not understanding. Thunder clapped outside, shaking the air, but I could feel something uncoiling inside of me, an unraveling of years, perhaps centuries. The weight of my lineage pressed down, and though the whispers of warning grew louder, another voice urged me to press on. Leave now, Henry shouted, edging toward me. You don't belong here. But as his shadow moved, it caught the light just enough for me to see the anguish in his eyes, the fear masked behind his anger. My heart raced with the realization. Perhaps he wasn't just an enemy. Perhaps he was also a protector caught in the web of a family legacy. In that instant, my decision crystallized, a flicker of recognition igniting within the ties that bind us go deeper than blood. They weave their way through choices, mistakes, and redemption. Catherine, I cried out again, my voice seizing the moment. I need to know. What are you afraid of? You're running out of time. She shouted desperately, the tremble in her voice cracking like glass. They'll do everything to keep you from learning the truth. Fiercely and tangible, the threat loomed heavy above us, pressing inwards as though the universe held its breath, waiting for a revelation that could fracture the fragile equilibrium of my existence. Before I could process it, the door creaked open wider behind Henry, and a chilling gust of wind surged through, riffling the scattered papers in the room. What came next was instantaneous. A figure stepped into the doorway, silhouette shrouded in rain and darkness. "Have you found her, Henry?" the figure demanded, their tone dripping with menace. "The clock is ticking." My heart plummeted into an abyss of uncertainty. What had I just stepped into? What truth lay before me? And was I truly ready to confront it? A surge of unresolved emotions wrapped tightly around my chest, as I realized that this moment might not just change, might could fracture everything I had ever known. The figure's silhouette loomed larger as the wind howled, obscuring my vision with the chaos of the moment. Everything froze, as if the world had decided to suspend its breath. My heart raced within a tangible cage of uncertainty and fear, pounding against my ribcage like a caged bird desperate to take flight. "Who are you?" I managed to stammer, caught between the magnetic pull of discovery and the dread of impending danger. Henry shifted, his previously rigid stance wavering slightly. "Get away from here," he barked, an urgency now lacing his voice. The man outside chuckled darkly, a sound like gravel scraping against steel. "Catherine is simply a distraction," the stranger said, his voice oozing a calm menace. "The girl is our priority now. It's time to bring her back." "Back to whom? What does that mean?" My voice was soft but defiant, rippling through layers of fear as I clung to my resolve. Why was I at the center of this ominous tension? Catherine's eyes shone with an unusual light as she stepped partly forward, a gesture both brave and desperate. "You have to trust me, Adeline. There are secrets that remain buried, and they can't be unearthed without sacrifice." "You must not sacrifice?" I cut her off, feeling the word twist stubbornly in the air. I could see her frail form trembling slightly, a stark contrast to the fury brewing outside. "What are you asking me to do?" "They're trying to push you into the shadows where they have power," Henry replied, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper as he leered at the man still lingering in the doorway. "Adeline, you must stand your ground." That moment, as shadows fought with flickers of light, I felt the burden of my lineage anchor heavier, creating a tight knot within me. Generations of silence, of hidden truths, spun around like a tempest, demanding to be acknowledged. "Enough!" the figure shouted, and though his voice was wrought with aggression, I could hear the echo of fear in it, a fear that matched my own. "You are wasting precious time." The storm fine-tuned my senses. It was as if adrenaline had wrapped around my veins, illuminating the dimness within. I turned to Lily, who stood even more pale than before, her soft features etched with worry. Instinctively, I reached for her hand. "We can't let this continue," I whispered, finding solace in her grip. "Even if I don't know what this means yet, I can't walk away." Her eyes swelled with disbelief mingled with tender warmth. "Adeline, this is dangerous. We don't know what we're walking into." Before I could respond, Catherine broke the silence again. "Adeline, you bear the weight of the truth within you, but it is not the kind that brings comfort. Decisions made long ago by those before us have pushed our family into corners we hardly understand." Catherine's words struck deep, reverberating in the marrow of my bones. What resonated was a harsh reflection of my own past, a reminder that shadows exist as both a refuge and a prison. "Would you trade the safety of ignorance for the painful clarity of truth?" she asked, as her gaze pierced through the clutter of emotions swirling around me. "What lies ahead may decide not just your fate, but those intertwined in our woven legacy." That I could feel the looming danger almost like a presence, wrapping tightly around me, a serpent ready to strike. But there was also an ember of hope igniting within my chest, a wish to break free, to know who I truly was. "Enough of this," the man sneered, stepping further into the room, revealing himself. His sharp features were dangerous and captivating, eyes burning with a fervor that sent ripples of dread through me. "Adeline, your time runs thin. This family drama must end, one way or another. What do you want with me?" The question burnt in my throat, a mixture of rebellion and bewilderment simmering just beneath the surface. "The simple exchange," he said, his tone dripping with barely concealed malice. Your compliance for her safety. You want your answers? It comes with a price that demands you to confront the heart of our family's darkness. His words hung heavily as the air crackled. Around us, the thunder outside echoed like a drum of fate. It felt surreal, like I had stepped into the pages of a story yet unwritten, where I was woven into a rich tapestry of family struggles long forgotten. The sound of glass breaking shattered the tension then, causing my heart to seize. From the corner of the room, a small, ornate box lay upturned, revealing the remnants of something delicate, a photo glimmering through the debris. I stumbled over. Wait, what is this? Desperation pushed me closer, my fingers trembling as I reached to pick it up, hoping to grasp some remnant of clarity amid the chaos. The photo was torn, but I could make out two figures, Catherine and another woman I did not recognize, both captured in a moment of laughter, forever frozen in time. What is happening here? I asked, feeling the panic bubbling up inside me as I realized that this photograph could lead to something vital, on insight lost to the currents of time. But before anyone could answer, the door slammed behind me, cutting off the last shred of light from outside. The storm intensified, rattling the very structure of the house. In the swirling dark, a voice echoed, soft yet commanding. You were never meant to find this, Adeline. But fate often has its own designs. Suddenly, it felt as if every heart in the room thudded together in a discordant rhythm, as an unseen hand reached toward my core, ready to extract the very essence of my existence. As I spiraled into the abyss of fear and uncertainty, I realized none of us were prepared for the truth that lay hidden long ago, a truth that could change everything. The air crackled with a charged intensity as the weight of impending revelation settled around us. I stood, heart racing, staring at the broken photo cradled between my fingers, acutely aware of every breath, every fleeting moment, as if they were seconds themselves. Catherine's voice broke through the tension. Adeline, the truth may be more powerful than you anticipate. The ties that bind you to this family go deeper than blood. You have the power to change your destiny. The urgency in her tone ignited something in me, a flicker of defiance. Change my destiny? I echoed, confusion dancing with a drive I hadn't known was there. But at what cost? Sometimes, Henry interjected, his eyes darting nervously toward the door, the burden of truth is lighter than the chains of silence. There's a life waiting for you if you choose to fight for it. Anchored in the knowledge of who you truly are, what do we even know? I shot back, my voice shaking with uncertainty and determination as I glanced at Lily, who watched me with an expression teetering between concern and encouragement. All of this, it's madness or destiny, the stranger mocked, stepping forward with an insidious grin. The choice is yours, Adeline. Embrace what's coming, or seek your quiet retreat into ignorance. You won't find peace in running away. I clenched the tattered photograph in my palm, the edges digging into my skin, drawing a figurative line in the sand. What if I refuse? I whispered, challenging the air, my voice breaking slightly, yet trembling with new strength. Refusing means losing everyone you care for. His eyes narrowed conspiratorially. Catherine doesn't have to be the only sacrifice made here. This family needs purging, and you're a key player. The rattle of the wind outside burst through the air, infusing it with a sense of urgency. The walls of the room felt like they were closing in, suffocating beneath the weight of the shadows now lurking restlessly. But amid that constricting fear, something flickered, the desire to protect those I loved. Adeline. A voice broke in a frantic whisper, desperate like the fluttering of a moth toward flame. There's something you need to know. It was Lily, her voice trembling as she pulled my gaze to hers. You're not just caught in the middle of this. Listen to your heart. With a deep breath, I forced myself to look away from the photograph, focusing instead on the warmth emanating from Lily. What do you mean? She swallowed, a bead of hesitation draping the air between us like a shroud of uncertainty. I felt it too, Adeline-Etha's connection, this unfolding truth. I know it sounds crazy, but there's something about you, about what's hidden in your lineage that goes beyond any of us. You have a strength that is unmatched. My heart clenched, understanding dawning upon me. It wasn't just a simple fight for survival. It was an unfolding of layered truths that would shatter the illusions my life had been built upon. The realization surged, a dual-edged sword of hope and fear. Enough. The stranger hissed, stepping into the glow of the dim room, his face twisted into a snarl. Nostalgia and bravery can't save you. They will only bring your undoing. With a swift motion, he lunged, and suddenly, I was thrust into chaos as the world transformed. I felt the rush of movement, the lounge of bodies colliding, the cacophony of panic echoing in sync with my accelerated heartbeat. "No!" I cried, instinctively stumbling backward toward the fragile barriers of our fragile safety. Stay away from her, but the shadows caught on me like smoke, twirling around my form, obstructing my sight as the room warped. All I could grasp was the sound of breaking glass, a shattering reality that spun around me, weaving the tapestry of my legacy into chaos. Catherine's cry pierced through the whirlwind. "Adeline, focus. You can't let them take your light. Remember the truth that resides within you." In that moment, my resolve crystallized as if something ancient began to awaken within, a pulse of purpose, a surge of ancestral defiance flickering to life. Before I could react, the man lunged. Once more, but our eyes met in a flash of raw connection. "You think you can control the past?" I spat defiantly, feeling the heat of my fears transform into an unyielding force. "You don't know who you're dealing with." And as I steadied myself, winds of change rushed through me, embracing the storm, threatening to unravel everything I'd known. No longer just a pawn in this twisted game, but a player ready to reclaim my narrative. Just as the darkness swallowed the last remnants of light seeping through the broken window, I felt something even stronger than fear emerging. A deep-seated wish for clarity clawed itself into my consciousness. "Enough with the theatrics," the figure snarled. "You can't resist forever. The truth will find its way to you, even if it's not the kind you hoped for." His words echoed eerily as I stumbled, a sudden vision surfacing, colorful yet chaotic, a flash of memories not my own, tangled within the legacy of a family that was both mine and yet somehow unrecognizable. And in a fleeting moment, just when I thought I could seize that light, he vanished into the shadows, leaving behind only silence and the haunting remnants of truth too vast to contain. With my heart hammering against my chest, I realized the echoes of the past hadn't just whispered. They had screamed, and whether I was ready or not, the time for reckoning was drawing near. The air in the room pulsed with a visceral tension, the aftermath of the confrontation leaving a heavy silence shattered only by the remnants of broken glass sparkling like distant stars on the floor. I could feel the weight of eyes on me, searching for answers, searching for reassurance. Lily reached for my hand, her fingers trembling as they intertwined with mine, anchoring me amidst the storm. "Adeline, are you okay?" she asked, her voice laced with concern. I turned my head toward her, forcing a semblance of calm onto my features even as my insides roiled with chaos. I think so," I managed, though the truth felt far more complicated than those words allowed. But when I looked back, the room was encased in shadows, the stranger's ominous presence replaced with the stillness of uncertainty. Where did he go? What had he meant about the truth coming for me? Catherine stood resolute, her face drawn yet fierce. "You have to believe in yourself, Adeline, and in what you're capable of. This battle isn't over, but neither is hope." A sense of disbelief washed over me. Could the tides truly turn in our favor? Or were we all just players on a board we could barely comprehend? Taking a deep breath, I focused on the remnants of determination fluttering within my chest, those fiery embers amid the darkness. "What do we do now?" I ventured, my voice steadier than I felt. "We can't just sit here and wait for him to strike again, but we regroup," Henry said, rubbing his temples as though to dispel the remnants of shock. "Strength in unity, right? There are more of us than there are of them." The door creaked open behind us, and a hush enveloped the room. My heart leaped, expecting to confront another shadow lurking on the edge of our fragile safety. But instead, it was Old Man Thompson, the kindly neighbor with a reputation for being a bit eccentric but possessing a heart of gold. "I heard the commotion," he said, eyes wide with concern. "Is everyone all right?" His unexpected presence cast a pale light into the room, the warmth of his concern illuminating the anxiety heavy in the air. I felt a flicker of hope. Sometimes, kindness came in the most unexpected packages. "We're okay, Thompson," I replied, forcing a smile that felt shaky at best. But we could use some guidance. There's something dark that we're up against. The old man's brow furrowed, as if he knew more than he let on. Sometimes the darkness reveals itself in ways that help us see the light. You're not alone in this, child. I've seen families struggle against their own fears before. Remember, it's not just about blood. It's about the love and bonds we forge. His gentle words wrapped around me like a warm blanket, stirring a sense of belonging that felt distant amid the chaos. As we pieced together a plan, I couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something monumental lay just beyond the horizon. But that spark of shared purpose soon flickered in the depths of uncertainty when the atmosphere shifted again, charged with an impending sense of dread. I glanced at Lily, whose brows were furrowed in concentration. "What is it?" I asked, apprehension creeping into my voice. "I don't know how to explain it," she whispered, her eyes wide and panicked. "But I can sense something. Someone is watching us." It's as if the walls have ears. That a chill spun through the room, creeping over my skin like icy fingers. "There's got to be a way to push back," I insisted, biting my lip. "We can't let fear dictate our actions." Suddenly, the lights flickered, struggling to maintain their glow. Thompson's reassuring presence felt dimmed, and shadows inched closer, as if waiting for the chance to encircle us once more. My heart received a tempest of trepidation and determination coursing through me. "Whatever is coming, we face it together," I affirmed, glancing at my friends, drawing strength from their unwavering belief in a shared destiny. No matter how twisted it appeared as I spoke those decisive words. However, an unexpected sound broke through the tenziona rhythmic knock, persistent and intrusive. My heart hammered in my chest as I turned to the door, knowing full well how much was at stake. "Who is it?" Lily whispered, dread pooling in her gaze. "Stay back," I warned, taking a protective step forward, an instinctual urge to shield them rising up. The knocking grew louder, accompanied by hushed voices on the other side, muffled yet insistent. That I reached for the doorknob, hesitant yet resolute, uncertain of what awaited us beyond our fragile sanctuary. As I turned the knob, the door swung open with a creak, revealing a figure cloaked in shadows, face obscured by a hood. Adeline Summers, the figure intoned, voice echoing with familiarity that set my heart racing. "I have something you need to see, a piece of the truth that's been lost for far too long." That my breath caught in my throat, heart thundering in my chest, as I contemplated the incomprehensible possibilities swirling in the charged air. With that single declaration hung notions of betrayal, tragedy, and hope on a delicate thread. "Who sent you?" I finally managed, my voice trembling with the weight of uncertainty. "Someone who knows what you're destined to uncover," the figure replied, a hint of challenge lacing their tone. "But beware, for the truth exacts a price, and the shadows will not go quietly." As the air thickened with tension, I felt the winds of destiny shifting, a storm brewing on the edge of what could be. With a heart heavy yet hopeful, I understood that our fight was only just beginning. The figure loomed at the door, shrouded in darkness, and for a brief moment, a knot of fear nestled deep in my gut. I'd thought I'd faced the worst, and yet here was a messenger from the shadows, offering fragments of a truth that had been lost. What did they know, and why me? "Step inside," I finally urged, my voice thick with nerves yet compelled by an equally potent curiosity. The figure hesitated, then stepped forward, the slight shift of their form revealing an unremarkable frame cloaked in a tattered garment that hung loosely, almost like a shroud. The group huddled closer, trading glances like flickers of candles battling against the encroaching darkness. "Adeline, we don't know anything about them," Lily murmured, her eyes scanning the figure. "Maybe they shouldn't be here." I felt her tension, it mirrored my own. "Or maybe they hold the key to everything," I countered, though my voice shook with uncertainty. I locked eyes with the figure, searching for any glimmer of truth within the depths of their hood. "Your past intertwines with the future of many," they said simply, their voice low and gravelly, plunging my heart back into the storm. "The truth you seek is steeped in shadows but illuminated by the choices you make now." Taking a deep breath, I stepped closer. "What do you know about me?" "Much more than you can imagine," the figure replied, unearthing a tremor of urgency in my bones. "But it is not about your past. It's about your present and how it can alter the thread of fate for those you cherish most. Henry interrupted with a frown. And why should we trust you? We've had enough deceit already. Trust is earned, not given, they acknowledged, their tone unfaltering, like a stone dropped in turbulent waters. But consider this. Your fight against the darkness is more critical than you think. Alliances have already formed in unseen corners. Choose wisely, Adeline. My heart raced if what they said was true. My choices carried repercussions far beyond our small enclave. I thought of Thompson, of his words about love and bonds. I thought of my friends, the unwavering bond we'd forged amid the chaos. But with every answer came layers of questions. What do you want from me? I asked, heart pounding like war drums echoing in the distance. To follow the path towards revelation, the figure responded cryptically, before extending a hand, palm upturned, revealing a small, glass vial that glimmered in the dim light. Inside lies a sliver of memoria, fragment of your family's past. Use it wisely. The truth will unfold. But know this: the light reveals as much as it conceals. That a breath caught in my throat, my mind racing with the possibilities as I considered the vial. What will it show me? Maybe your heart can decipher the price it carries, they said, retracting their hands subtly, as if they sensed my reluctance. But beware, what you uncover may alter the course of everything you cherish. As I hesitated, a flicker of light pierced the gloom, reminiscent of a guiding star on a dark night. It continued to illuminate the tattered edges of the figure's cloak, urging me to grasp it, to choose. Adeline, don't, Lily warned softly, her grip tightening on my arm. It's too dangerous. In that instant, I felt the weight of my choices, the pressure mounting like the clouds before a storm, and the flickering hope in Old Man Thompson's words echoed in my heart. It was the love we forged that would guide us through. Perhaps knowledge holds the weapon we need, I murmured, more to myself than anyone else. We can't keep running from the truth if we want to protect what we care most about. And so, with trembling fingers, I reached forward, the vial's cool, glassy surface fitting into my palm like a jigsaw piece, finally finding its place. A shudder of energy coursed through me as I lifted my gaze to the figure, their dark silhouette transforming momentarily into something almost human, a flicker of empathy dancing in their hidden eyes. Very well, I said, summoning my courage. I will uncover this truth. The moment hung in the air, palpable and electric, tinged with the risk it bore. Would I find the answers I sought, or would the illumination expose darker paths yet unseen? As I prepared to crack open the vial, the lights flickered violently, plunging us into momentary darkness. Panic began to swirl anew, but just as quickly, a blinding light enveloped the room. I felt the force pushing against me, a sudden rush of wind, and I grasped onto my friends for dear life, my heart racing as memories that were not my own invaded my mind, jumbled and urgent. Within that cacophony of recollections, snapshots of unfamiliar faces, anger, and heartbreak flew like shadows across my consciousness. And then a single image anchored me, a child, a younger version of me, staring out at an overcast sky. Wilson Street, the playground, my childhood, haunted by some nebulous question of belonging. And then, amidst those memories blurring together like watercolor paint, a single chilling revelation struck me like lightning. I wasn't the only one tied to the shadows. The shadows also had secrets that pursued me as doggedly as I pursued the truth. With a sudden sense of dread, I realized that cracks were forming among my friends. The bonds that had once felt rugged and impermeable now seemed tenuous, threatened by unseen forces that could tear us apart. The roiling knowledge clawed at my insides. But before I could voice my worries, another echo unfurled a name, whispered in tones of both affection and betrayal. Adeline, it called, and darkness laughed softly in the corners of my mind, knowing I had only begun to scratch the surface of the truth. I was not just facing an unknown monster, but discovering the depths of my own soul, teetering on the edge of revelation and ruin. The cliffhanger of uncertainty loomed over us as I caught glimpses of the reality we'd have to confront, and the fight that lay ahead felt heavier than the weight of my own heart. What would I uncover next? And who, ultimately, would stand by my side as I unearthed the truth meant to be mine? The moment the brightness receded, leaving us standing in a cocoon of emerging shadows. I felt an unexpected resolve surge within me. My fingers still clenched around the vial, the glass warm against my palm, its power thrumming quietly, a silent promise echoing throughout the chaos. But with it came an unshakable trepidation. What if this only leads to more darkness? I thought, battling the fear nipping at my heels. Yet even as the question circled my mind, I understood instinctively. I was on the precipice of something much deeper than mere danger. Adeline Lilly's voice broke through the stillness, filled with concern. "Please, be careful." She stepped closer, her eyes searching mine for reassurance, a silent question hanging between us. "I will. We will," I managed, the resolve in my voice not wavering. I wasn't about to falter now, not when the echoes of the past loomed like specters, demanding to be acknowledged. Whatever happens next, we do this together. The shadows deepened at my declaration, and I saw Thompson tense, his eyes darting to the doorway. But I locked eyes with Lily, holding her gaze like a lifeline. "I just found you," she said softly, vulnerability spilling through her words like water seeping through cracks. "And I can't lose you too." My heart twisted painfully in my chest. "You won't. We've come too far to turn back now." But deep down, I knew the shadows were not the only ones watching our every move. The winds of fate were shifting around us, guiding or misleading, who could tell which. Without waiting for a response, I uncorked the vial, feeling its pulse resonate with my blood as I tilted it toward my mouth, the cool air wrapping around me like an embrace that bordered both comforting and frightening. As the liquid slipped over my tongue, warmth surged through my veins, igniting the fragile tendrils of memories tightly coiled within me. And suddenly, I was swept away into a swirling tempest, memories cascading like water filling a bowl, forming dark silhouettes of people entwined within my family's history. I saw my grandmother young, vibrant, and filled with an exuberant spirit, lighter than the shadows that loomed over her. "Catherine, wait." A voice I didn't recognize called, weaving through the echoes. I felt a pang of longing mixed with urgency, the sort that clawed at your chest, urging you forward. But as I focused, the faces shifted, merging, and I saw her again. Only this time, she was enveloped in darkness, a shroud of despair that clung to her like mist over a lake. That I pressed forward, the images shifting heartbreakingly fast, battling against the suffocating shadows. I darted from one glimpse to the next, reaching for each piece of memory, as though they were keys unlocking my understanding. A family gathering splashed onto the canvas, faces laughing, smiles illuminating, until laughter decayed into silence, transforming into tears and whispers of betrayal. Fragments of betrayal echoed through me, intertwining conflicts clashing beneath the surface like storm-tossed waves. "Adeline, you can't." A voice echoed, silencing all sound around. But I had to know. It felt essential. My own truth hung precariously in the balance. "Don't turn from the light, Catherine." A somber voice echoed, edged with regret. I froze as another image formed. A young girl, her eyes gleaming with expectation, every laugh wrapped in the warmth of hope. My breath caught as I realized it wasn't, or a version of me, brimming with innocence. Before the curtain of reality fell, I clawed deeper. The shadows grew more restless, willing their presence against the tide of light unfurling before me. "You can't escape," one hissed, but I pushed through the haze, unwilling to yield to their pressure. Nameless faces swirled around me as I grasped at the air. With one final surge of strength, clarity broke through. A revelation flooded my senses. The past was a labyrinth, with paths forged in choices long forgotten, each loop threatening to entrap those who sought peace. And standing at the center was the essence of my grandmother, a figure sculpted by strength, love, sorrow, and redemption. "You carry the light, Adeline," she whispered, and I felt a shift within myself, a spark igniting in defiance against the darkness. "You must, for the shadows grow stronger." In that very moment, the whirlwind of images collapsed, and I fell back into reality, breathless. The vial slipped from my fingers as I landed back amidst my friends, their faces a map of fear and determination. "What did you see?" Lily breathed, her voice quaking as she steadied me, prompting my heart to catch up to the storm within me. I saw my grandmother, I managed to reply, struggling to process the weight of the truth anchoring my thoughts. She was fighting to reclaim her own story, to lift the shadows that held her captive. It was all connected, confusion, despair, but beneath it, there was a glimmer of light. Thompson nodded slowly, comprehending the tapestry of experiences that had unfolded. Your family's history is riddled with conflict, but those threads can be woven anew. You hold the strength necessary to reclaim what was lost. But what if the shadows are too powerful? Lily interjected, her concern twisting tighter around my heart. What if they take you? Take us? They won't, I insisted, my voice resolute. I won't let that happen. This time, we faced them head on. As I spoke those words, a darkness slithered at the edge of the room, almost tangible. The ambient light flickered once more before a chilling laugh echoed through the air, wrapping around us like a heavy cloak. I see we are ready for a little reunion. The voice purred, sending a ripple of terror across my spine that I stepped closer to my friends, grounding myself amidst the looming threat. Who are you? I demanded, forcing strength into each syllable even with fear threading dangerously beneath my surface. Emerging from the shadows was the figure I recognized, the same ghastly presence that had stalked my dreams. Do you truly believe you can reclaim what was never yours? He laughed cruelly, eyes glinting with disdain. You're nothing but a candle flickering in the presence of a storm. This time, we shine brighter than your darkness, I declared with a strength born from knowing my lineage, the stories of my past, and the hopes of those who came before me. You underestimate what truly binds us, Thompson said, stepping forward alongside us with a firmness I hadn't anticipated. Lightning can strike twice. Strength lies in unity. There's power in those who stand together. That's so? The figure sneered, fingers curling tightly as shadows danced around him once more. Then let's see who's strong enough to withstand the storm. In that instant, the clash of fate unfolded, the very air around us crackling with tension, ready to erupt. But amidst the chaos, light flared within me, awakening a powerful realization. We weren't just fighting for ourselves. We were breaking chains woven into our family's legacy, standing against forces that once defined us. We took our stance together, ready to face whatever darkness awaited. I felt the shift within my heart. This was our moment to reclaim not just our stories, but our futures. And with a firmer resolve echoing in my soul, I realized one undeniable truth. Sometimes the bravest journey we embark on is the one to uncover who we truly are. Together, I whispered to my friends, and they nodded in perfect synchrony. As the shadows gathered around us, we stood our ground, prepared to confront an uncertain fate with a unified heart. Together, we declared in unison, and the echoes of that truth resonated through the storm, propelling us toward our destiny, the culmination of our past, and the daring promise of the future. And as light clashed against dark in a clash of forces, we readied ourselves, knowing that whatever lay ahead, we no longer walked alone. Together, we would confront the storm, facing the shadows that sought to divide us as an unyielding force, leaving behind the remnants of uncertainty and embracing the strength of unity. In that moment, I understood, even in the heart of darkness, love and fortitude could create their own light, a light that would guide us home. And as I prepared to step into the storm with my companions at my side, I felt poised to reshape the narrative history had once written, creating a new chapter of resilience and Clarissa truth born of courage that would echo for generations to come. For a family is not just bound by blood, but by the legacy of hope we carry forward into the world. With every heartbeat, I embraced that undeniable truth, knowing now that this would be the plan, the light illuminating the shadows, guiding not only my fate, but also those of countless others entwined within our shared journey. And that, I thought, was the most powerful truth of all.